What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we're rebuilding the Pittsburgh Pirates and we're looking to tackle the second part of the offseason today. It is, of course, November 21st, 2031. We're trying to rebuild our Pirates here as a championship contender yet again. We've won back-to-back World Series championships, and we're going for the three-peat in the 2032 season. So last we left off, we have sort of discussed a bunch of potential options for us in open free agency and what may make sense for our team and what might not make sense. I've done some preliminary offers off camera in between episodes, but everything is pretty small. I'll go ahead and just dive straight into everything that we've done. All of these are just minor league contracts. I think we're going to wait on getting these scouting reports back on a lot of the bigger names. I just want to be certain before we, sign up for multi-year, multi-million-dollar commitments. So I think it's likely we just kind of wait and see. I also want to, similar to last season, we addressed a bunch of our needs via the trade block around the time of the winter meetings. I kind of want that market to develop a little bit. It's still sort of, it doesn't really fill out until like several weeks into the offseason. So better players may become available here. I don't think there's anyone interesting on it currently. But, we found Robert Gasser there last year. We found Edwin Diaz there last year. And maybe that makes more sense for us to, play in rather than open free agency because, we would be on the hook for fewer years if we trade for a guy and he's only on like a 2-year deal. You get the idea. So the plan for this episode, like I mentioned, we're going to run through the rest of the offseason together, and I'm going to try to do it as quick as I can. But, we've gone over all those small deals. We're going to continue our scouting and simulating up into kind of the winter meetings. So a couple of weeks of game time, and then I think at the winter meetings we can revisit the trade block, look to make some moves, and get some offers out there in front of guys. We also have the Rule 5 draft, which, I don't know if we'll be tremendously active in or not. Our team is pretty good, so I would be surprised if we take anyone, but I'll mention it. I'll pause there to mention it, and then we'll go ahead and push through all of January. We'll get to the IAFA signing period. I'll introduce you to who we're looking to target. Obviously, we have a little bit more restrictions on who we're able to pursue this season, which we can refresh ourselves on that once we get there. And then we're going to go all the way up to spring training and get the Dev Lab results out of the way as well. So should be a fun one. And, I don't know that the team is going to change tremendously by the end of this, but obviously we'll try to make smart moves where we can. So let's get into it. I'm going to get simulating here. I'll check back in with you at the winter meetings once I kind of have a strategy in mind. All right, guys, start of the winter meetings here. We have some developments. I haven't really brought on anyone super notable, and I'm still canvassing the trade block, so nothing to report on the acquisition front, but we ended up engaging in negotiations with Justin Martinez. Unfortunately, we were not able to see eye to eye. He was adamant at wanting a 3-year deal. I was trying to get him on a 2-year deal, a 1+1, and I was even going up to his, requested value of near 25 mil. It was a very hefty deal, but ultimately he ends up signing with New York. So they bring him on. Obviously, super talented player. We got our scouting report back on him, and there were some minor regressions in it, but really nothing too notable. His contract, 25 per year, final year player option, so they gave him exactly what he wanted. So he is off the table. The Yankees are really big spenders so far. They also bring on Zach Neto for a 5-year, $79 million deal. He was never really in our plans. We weren't, looking to bring him on, but 15.8 all guaranteed through age 35 is pretty nice for him. No other real huge signings, I would say. Elliot Ramos goes to the Twins, and that's about it. So I guess Adley to Seattle, but Adley is not really the player he used to be in this universe. So we're at the start of the winter meetings. We've made a bunch of minor league signings just to kind of bolster our farm system. As far as lottery results go, San Francisco will be your number 1 pick, and Arizona are big winners, moving up from 15 to 6. So, of course, we will be picking much later at 31, it looks like, this season. And, we'll see where our supplemental pick lands based on the Robert Gasser news. We don't really have many other pending offers out, just more minor league guys. Like minor league with major league option is sort of the vibe right now. We still don't really have clarity on Edwin Mendoza, the new 26, 27-year-old international pitching free agent. So, we're going to learn more about him in, it looks like, one day. And maybe we could make a play for him. I'm not super sold on that idea because I don't want to pay him $44 million a year. It's way too much. So we'll likely look to address our needs via trade, but we may just end up sitting this one out, you guys. I kind of like the way our team is structured. I don't think we need too many more additions to be competitive. So I'm going to go ahead and advance through winter meetings up to the Rule 5 on the 23rd of December. So, a couple more weeks of game time, and then I will circle back with news when we get there. All right, y'all, Rule 5 draft recap here. We ended up not making any selections, and we did lose a couple of guys. One guy I knew we were going to lose. 2 others, a little bit of a surprise. And I'll also loop back and show you the guys we added to our 40-man roster. So the, most notable player is this guy, Clevari Tejada, who is 27 years old, is definitely major league capable, but there's just such limited upside with him. He goes to the Giants org. They take him in the very early part of the first round of the Rule 5. Back-to-back 2 worst seasons at AAA, he's obviously solid. So glad he's getting a chance somewhere. It's just not going to be with us. And then I thought we were done. The rounds kept moving along pretty smoothly, but we lose a couple of notable, names you probably recognize. Adonis Guzman goes to Minnesota. So the Pittsburgh to Minnesota pipeline is in full effect here. They take our captain, backup catcher. Never really think the bat's going to ever be there. He has never hit at any level, really. But they get a fielding first catcher. And then we ended up waiving and DFAing Jacob McGovern, the lefty out of Clemson, who we drafted several years ago. I want to say 2026. Kind of just see him stalling out similar to Tejada. I mean, he could play at the majors for sure, and he probably deserves a chance, but we kind of just want to move on. He's 27 at this point, so ended up removing him. We lose 3 guys there. We'll see if any of them get returned to us. Still no free agent moves. We're still sitting on our nest egg of 37.7 mil. But I've sort of eyed some trade targets who I think might make sense. We just have to wait a little bit longer into January before I want to kind of reveal who those players may be. So we're sitting tight. We're chilling this offseason. Guys, we added to the 40, though. We have 39 slots available. I left one open in case we wanted to select somebody, but we ended up passing. I added Ryan Malaguti to the 40, which is surprising because, he's never played above AA, but he's always been a highly regarded prospect. He is fragile, of course, but I was looking at him versus McGovern, and, they're kind of similar. If Malaguti plays well at AAA this season, these start turning over into the 50 grade tools. Possible he could come up, you never know. So we added him. We also added a couple of other guys here. We brought in Christian St. Paul, who we acquired from San Francisco, I think, several seasons ago, but the 25-year-old reliever is going to be on the 40. I don't expect him to break camp with us, but as a depth arm, love the velo and the big breaking curveball he brings. We also add Cole Stokes, who is a real player that we drafted in 2026. Looking actually kind of solid here now at this point. Maybe he would be the first reliever we call up. Not really certain. But wanted to get him on the board. A lot of pitchers here just trying to protect against depth. We ended up swapping our catchers out. I didn't realize that Paul Waldron was actually Rule 5 eligible. And I was contrasting him with Zach Hammer. Ultimately decided to go for the younger switch-hitting Waldron at 22. Felt like there was a good chance he may be taken, especially with OSA viewing him as a 50 grade. Even though he's currently just a 40, I think there's good defensive upside and good contact. So he'll probably play at AA, AAA this season, if I had to guess. But as our third catcher on the 40, I think he's a pretty safe bet. I think he has more upside than Hammer, so we made that swap. And I think we added maybe one more player. Just a very, very depth outfielder, but great glove, Gabriel Rodriguez. Just figured, why not add the 24-year-old just in case something funky ends up happening. So he'll be kind of lowest on the totem pole in terms of our outfielders. It's possible we also add in Ben Small, and then, that brings us to a full 40. So we'll kind of see how the preseason looks if guys end up making big leaps in spring training. Maybe some non-40 invites get added to the 40, et cetera, et cetera. But that is a wrap on the Rule 5. Next up, we're kind of smooth sailing because, I'm not really making many moves. We're sitting tight here. So we'll just keep pushing into January, honestly. We're on December 23rd. We'll probably push all the way up until the IAFA reveal, and I can kind of go over the options then. At that time, maybe we'll also look to make a trade. I'll kind of just keep monitoring the situation. I have a player in mind, but I don't want to spoil it, like I mentioned. So check back in with you guys in a couple more weeks of game time once we have more news to report. Okay, guys, Hall of Fame results here. It is January 15th, 2032. As you can see, Max Scherzer is a first ballot Hall of Famer, almost unanimous, 99.1% of the vote, wearing the Nationals hat in the Hall. So good for him. Craig Kimbrell, Paul Goldschmidt get, pretty close, really close for Kimbrell. Goldschmidt as well, both in their first seasons. I don't know that there are any other. Charlie Morton is dropped. Same for Anthony Rendon, DJ LeMahieu. Justin Turner as well. Unsurprising that all of those guys would be dropped. So only one inductee this season. It is also the opening of the IAFA signing period. But before we touch on that, I kind of want to revisit, I had been hinting at a possible trade that we were looking at. And unfortunately, I waited too long, guys. Our guy got sniped. I noticed that Max Fried was on the trade block, and he's been dealing with shoulder inflammation. It was a multi-week injury. When he was added to the trade block, it was sort of like a four-week injury kind of deal, and I was just going to wait it out until he was fully healthy, which would have been, in 1 week from now. But the Dodgers came in and actually sniped me on it. I waited too long. They came in and acquired him. He's about to be 38, but still profiles as having pretty good movement. He pitched, a decent chunk the last 2 seasons, 100 plus innings in both, but he has sort of been battling injuries. He's had inflammation in his shoulder in both years that have kind of cut those seasons short. So, we scouted him. I liked what, this looked like. He still profiles to be a very well, equipped pitcher. He has a ton of movement, a ton of control, not going to strike guys out, but he's got that workhorse stamina. Even in just 132 innings last season of 3.9 WAR was awesome. So the Dodgers unfortunately grabbed him, and they pretty much did exactly what I was trying to do. I was going to do a 2-for-1 prospect swap for him, where New York retains partial of his final year of salary here. So they kind of beat me to the punch, and now I'm just sort of left empty-handed, and I kind of don't really know what else we're going to do. If you look at our pitching staff, we have guys that we like, but at the same time, it's we're betting on a lot of young talent to produce. We don't really have a sure thing beyond, I would say, McElroy and Beebe, and we know McElroy is fragile, so that's a little scary to put all our eggs in that basket. Would really have liked to have brought on another veteran, but I don't think anything in the free agency market really made sense for us to attack. So it's kind of a tough call. If we go back to the trade block here and look at pitchers, there are a couple of 50-grade guys here. There is Casey Hunt, who is pretty average, I would say, only 40 stamina, so he's not going to eat a ton of innings, has pitched 160 is his career high, although he does look, fairly decent. He would be a cheaper option still in arbitration that we could look to bring on. Not really like the high tier number 2 pitcher that Fried would have been. I think Fried would have gotten the ball right after BB on opening day. David Peterson is here as well, 36 and a half, kind of just average, but brings a lot more stamina, has been in Cincinnati for the last 3 seasons, and has been doing pretty well. Like, I honestly maybe even like him more than Casey Hunt, even though he's sort of on a 2-year deal. That's kind of scary. If he hits 180 innings, that vesting option will kick in. So I don't know. It's like just have to think about it. Jordan Wicks is the last 50 grade guy on the trade block, and he's like pretty well rounded. 32 and a half in the final year of his deal, 11.1. Kind of like similar to Robert Gasser in that he's very low stamina. If we go into his scouting, you can see it just recently improved from 35 to 40, so it's kind of like on the fringe between those two values. So he's not going to eat a ton of innings. He did get to 173 last season in Arizona, has been in Arizona for the last 4 years. So maybe we look to bring him on. I think he's probably safer than the way we currently have the rotation set up. If we kick August back to the bullpen where I think he wants to be, we go BB, McElroy, maybe Wicks, Jones, and then one of Hiles, Salazar as our 5, I think could be the answer. So, I'll sort of keep investigating, but the purpose of this segment is to touch on the IAFA class. So let's stop dancing around. Let's actually get into that next. Okay, so here we go. This is going to be a little bit more complicated than usual. We can't just, throw all of our money onto the top guy we want here. There are several, very high-quality players in this year's class. I think Victor Aranivas is, one of the best. King Bill is like a very contact-forward speedster, 80 grade potential, but we really didn't do much due diligence on this top pool because last season we signed Alexis Brania for $7 million, which exceeded our base total here. So we have some restrictions on us this season. We can, it says right here, if you read, it's like attention, we spent $7 million last season. This year we can't sign any player for a bonus of more than $400K. So we are allowed to sign multiple players, but we just can't exceed that ceiling of $400K per contract. So if we go in and filter to the players I was looking for, I aimed for $600K because, if we have a good relationship, I think we can lowball a couple of guys here. And there's still some talent available, several 50 grade plus players. And then I honestly like these 45 grade guys highlighted in green as well. So pretty much everyone that we have a strong relationship with here, we have talked to in some capacity at some point. So the highest potential graded guys are, we have this guy, Enias Keita Minha. I'll have to work on that one, but we think he's a really talented pitcher with high work ethic, high loyalty. The only question is how much demand from other teams is there going to be? He's a 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, changeup. So 3 different types of pitches there. Great movement, control, upside. I'm really hoping we can bring him on. He is seeking $550, but the league interest is very low. So as long as we're first ones in the door with a $400K offer, maybe our relationship kind of carries us there. We had him in our scouting, camps the whole way, the whole time. Esteban Calvo is a very similar situation. Wants $550. We're only at strong with him, so it's going to be a little tougher to bring him on. But he is a second baseman. Looks to be pretty well rounded. Never going to hit a ton of homers, but I think the contact and eye can both be plus for him, like his personality as well. So 2 kind of risky guys, and then I guess we have a 3rd and a 4th as well. Several guys seeking that 550 number here. Sandy Gonzalez is a more contact forward kind of infielder, listed as a shortstop, but probably a second baseman. Don't really he's not the highest ceiling kind of guy. I just, we're kind of bargain bin hunting here. We got to kind of try to find deals where we can. Juan Torres is maybe a little more interesting, where he brings that like at least 80 grade gap power, presumably. So I kind of like him as well. Good speed, decent defensively, nothing too special. So we're going to look to, I guess, spray the board here. I don't think it's worth. I'll just dive in on the guys as we sign them, I think, or maybe like do a full recap at the end. But I'm really hoping we can nail down this pitcher, second baseman, and then several of these 50 grade guys as well. There's even a closer in here who I quite like. He's got 3 pitches, good work ethic. I think he could be nice to bring on as well. So we're gonna try our best here to go for a quantity approach. We still have a decent chunk of available cash. Like our allotment is 5.28. So, that's several guys at 400K that we can look to bring on. So I'm going to get those offers out, and I will also keep sort of looking for another pitcher that we might want to bring on in the background. But give me a couple weeks here of game time. I will check back in with you shortly. All right, we're several days later here on the 28th of January, and we've sort of been really successful at bringing on kind of these lower tier IAFA guys. I'm just going to recap everyone we brought on. We didn't really have many misses, so I think it was overall pretty successful. So our first, our primary target, Keita Minha, Aeneas ends up signing with us. We actually need to get like a updated scouting report on him. But he ended up, signing for that flat 400K. Really pleased to grab a pitcher with 65 grade potential with the good work ethic and the good velo, good stamina. Definitely a big get for us. We'll see if he can make it to the complex right away or not. We also bring on Maurice Peacock, a catcher with a plus eye. He is also durable, and he is intelligent and well-spoken. Just 45 grade, but you never know how the dice will roll for the Australian out of Sydney. We also bring on Pedro Carlos, a closing pitcher with good work ethic. We think he can get to high upper 90s. Also need a new scouting report on him as well. Great fastball sinker cutter combo, pretty good stuff and movement as well for the 16-year-old. So he joins the class. We bring on Marcos Tercios, who is a left-handed outfielder. Think he can actually field as well, good range, can maybe grow into a center fielder, more of a corner outfielder for now. Decent bat, kind of just fringe, but felt like he made sense to take a chance on. A lot of cheap guys here. We brought on a ton. I'm not joking. We got Juan Torres as well, who is one of our primary targets. Has that 80 grade gap power from the right side, shortstop, but likely more a second baseman. Brings a little plus raw power as well. So, big bat for him. 6'1", 175, 17 years old. Like what he had, 50 grade potential. Think he'll be very good. Esteban Calvo was another one of our top tier targets, 55 grade potential on him, although he is pretty far away. He's just barely 16, so a little more well-rounded here in the bat, not the best fielder. He likely is going to sit in the complex for a year or two until these ratings grow into the 30s. So, far away, but still happy to have him. Tony Guzman comes in as a 45 grade first baseman. Think he can be a really plus defender there. He's 6'7", 225, so he's a huge, almost 17-year-old guy here. Left-handed first baseman, can't go wrong with that. Pretty decent bat, kind of just well-rounded around, every category. We bring in Agustin Espinoza. I think this is the 8th guy we've touched on. Really like his bat, actually, and his personality is awesome. Great, good fielder as well. Probably a third baseman, although maybe he could play short as well. Good gap power. Everything else kind of just average. Batting from the right side, 16 and a half. We miss out on this guy. I sort of went back through the board and found more players who I didn't initially have on my radar, and we ended up making offers to them as well. So Zisto Cesar is a 45 grade shortstop, nicknamed Sarge. Kind of just plus power to a degree. He is durable and seems just decent. Nothing too exciting. I think the most exciting player we brought on was this catcher, Mario Rivera, who I found, like I mentioned, going back through the list of players, and he was willing to hear us out on a 400K offer. And I'm not really sure how I missed him. It may have been like a late scouting development, but he spawned into the pool, and we were able to grab a 70 grade catcher, guys. I don't know how he, went for this. He's almost 18 years old, but you can see we signed him for the flat 400. Just came in strong for him. I think it's likely he gets pushed to the DSL pretty much immediately. He is, a great catching prospect, good work ethic, seems like a capable fielder. Think there's plus power in the eye to tap into. Really excited to have found him in the class. So I think that's our big get, along with the pitcher who we went over very early in this update. A couple more guys that we missed out on. I was trying to, also poach guys like Billy Delgado and Alexis Vasquez in a similar way that we got Rivera. But they ended up signing deals elsewhere. The final guy we brought on for now is Alex Diaz, another pitcher, but he is a left-handed pitcher with pretty good stamina, just 45 grade, but you kind of never know. Like, he has a forkball that could be a 60, maybe that carries him, so it's just a little weird. But we're pretty much done. With all of those players, we somehow still only spent 3.665 mil, so we still have a good chunk of available money remaining. I think 1.6 left before we hit our cap. Unfortunately, there's no one really willing to hear us out currently. So, the month's about to turn over. We're about to get to February. We can load up our training with more guys and try to increase our relationship with them, and maybe steal some more guys down the board here. There are a couple 50 and 55 grade players here that are ballpark with our 400K budget. So we'll try to get those guys in and strengthen those relationships, and maybe look to bring on one or two more players here before we finish out. But, I think I've also looked for starting pitching talent on the market, and, we're up to 33 mil. I've maxed out our development budget. This is as high as it'll let me, take it. It won't let me go any higher. Whoops. If I try to set it to 45, it just defaults back to that 41.1. So that is the max. It looks like we're able to increase our ticket prices by $2.50 this season. So a 10% gain. It looks like we are still projected to sell out every game, and we will make 15% more revenue per game with those estimates. But backtracking, I guess I've looked for starting pitching depth, and it's really not there. The market is just kind of quiet. I think I would like to give it a shot with our guys here as currently constructed, and then if something goes terribly wrong, we can pivot mid-season, or maybe we can make a trade in spring training ahead of next episode. I think for the time being, though, we're going to sit tight and just kind of rock with our guys here. There have been a number of signings that we'll recap in a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and continue looking at the IAFA pool, try to get new guys in there. Make sure we have adequate depth across all the minor leagues before, spring training begins. I'm going to rejoin you for the Dev Lab results at the start of spring training, and by the time that happens, I will have done, all those things I just mentioned in the background, and then we can end the episode there. So not too much longer, guys. We're almost done with the offseason here and almost to the start of 2032, so super exciting. All right, actually, a little bit, 2 days later here, we've got some interesting news. Gabe Arellano is approaching us with the, start a charity option. He's trying to do community service in Venezuela, where he is from. We got this note, and that sort of signaled that it was coming. He's trying to give back to the community. He is a, fan favorite player. I want to honor him. I think this is actually great timing for this. This will boost our fan interest and loyalty even further. Considering our available funds here, we can stomach the charity. Usually I'll just donate and not start the charity if we're tight on budget, but I think we're going to do the full charity this time. So I believe it's a $15 million commitment. I could be wrong, but surely it's not higher than $33 million. I think we have enough money here to let that happen. So we're going to agree to this. And, he'll become more popular with our fan base. And like I mentioned, we should get a boost in fan loyalty. So I want to choose the start a charity option here. And we'll kind of, I'll update you guys on what that ends up looking like as we get, closer to spring training. So let me get back to filling out our minor league system. And we're not too far away, like I mentioned, from starting this season. Okay, here we go. We're at spring training. I'm going to introduce you to the team we're bringing, and then we're going to recap some signings across the league, and finally we will end on DevLab results. So I haven't really made any other international amateur signings. I tried, but no one was, buying what we were selling, so unsuccessful there. Maybe we'll look to continue pursuing that over the course of this month. Maybe we can loop back at the very end. As far as other news that has happened, we ended up starting the charity or whatever. So we announced the charity. Everyone's super excited about it. It means that we sink $19 million into that. You can see that on this budget sheet, miscellaneous expenses minus 19 mil. I've maxed out the dev budget. I've set scouting at 25 mil. And, this salary figure is adjusted for spring training, so it's actually closer to 4 or 5 mil in available money that we'll be carrying in the next season. So it's a little bit, I wouldn't say tight, but it's, we don't have a huge margin of available money. We're putting our money to use, so I'm happy with everything we're doing here. I think, like I mentioned, this will bump back up to 5 or 6 mil by the end of spring training. So, the 19 mil hit is something we could take here. Fan interest was pretty unmoved, but I'm hoping for, there were some incremental gains in the background in both of these categories. Ended up dropping ticket prices to just $42, so a $2 increase year over year. We should be able to get a bunch of season tickets sold and, continue selling out most of our games, or at least, that's the idea. So the team we're bringing into spring, not many surprises. You've seen this rotation all offseason. BB, McElroy, Jones, August, Hiles, and Salazar are our 6 in the bullpen. We're kind of, giving guys just late inning leverage and then middle inning relief. I think I actually do want to bump up one guy here. So we've got kind of our fireballers on the back end, along with Cole Sands and Brian Hudson. In middle relief, we're inviting Tony Granger, we have Malik Goody here, Dave Ipock, a couple of other familiar names, Cole Stokes, and Ben Abelt as specialists. So, the only non-40 invites are Tony Granger and Ipock, I think. Everyone else is already on 40. So, lineup-wise, catching, we're inviting Alfonso, Zach Hammer, Axel Plaza, and Paul Waldron. First base, I've actually, I had mentioned keeping Carson Benj in right field, even though he does have first base versatility, graded at a 55 grade there. I was taking a look at his infield range, infield error, and infield arm. He's 45, 40, 40, 30 on the turn double play. And I was like, who could we try to pivot to first base here? Edward Lantigua is actually 5 points higher in turn double play, 5 points higher in arm, and I think 5 points higher in infield range as well. So he's never played first base. He has no experience there, but we're going to try to force start him, get him some reps there in spring training, and just try to become more versatile. It's probably painful for you to see me do this with the 75 grade outfielder who has good speed and base running, but given he's fragile, maybe it preserves his health a little more long term. I'm still undecided on who ultimately will be the first baseman, but I think spring training is a good time to train that. Johnny Severino, Nolan Stevens are here. Our backup infielders of Boyd and Feliz and Cozile are here. Eric Lara is a non-40 invite who we picked up out of free agency. He will make an appearance here. All of our outfielders, Ben Small is here as a non-40 invite, and he is looking really good. He's actually already developed a bit of gap power throughout the course of the offseason. independent of his dev lab training. So that's a great sign. I think it's likely he makes the opening day roster if I'm giving a teaser. I don't know if Phil Goodall actually makes it this year. But good to see that we're also inviting Gabriel Rodriguez as well, sort of that fielding plus outfielder we looked at earlier at the Rule 5 draft. So 23 position players, 21 pitchers will be joining us here. As far as signings around the league, let's take a look at that next. Before we get to the notable signings, though, I do want to mention that Robert Gasser has remained unsigned. I think he maybe overestimated his value given he's hurt and out for the majority of the season, if not all the season. So we haven't been rewarded with any sort of compensation for that yet. I think it's still kind of to be determined. I don't actually even know the intricacies of the rule. If we if he just never signs, do we ever get comped? Kind of unclear. So that sort of backfired. But in terms of big signings, we knew Martinez and Neto went to the Yankees. After that, it took kind of a while for things to heat up. They also get Luzardo, Cade Smith as well to the Yankees. I knew they were big buyers, but I guess I underestimated them. But Cade Smith gets $96 million. He actually gets paid more than Martinez did. If we go back to Martinez only got 75. Cade Smith gets 96. So they're really bolstering the back of their bullpen there. I liked this one. Edwin Diaz returns to the Mets on a 2-year deal. So he wins his World Series with us, goes back to the Mets. Brian Abreu signs a very modest deal to go to San Francisco. Arizona brings on Austin Riley, 4 for $43.6. Colt Keith goes to the White Sox for just 2 years, $7.6. And Mendoza ends up signing with Houston. This is the Cuban pitcher that we thought very highly of. This bidding got out of control, and I think 53.5 makes him tied for the highest paid player in all of baseball, up there with Mason Miller, up there with Hunter Brown, up there with Nick Gonzalez. So we were never going to do this. $321 million, I believe it's fully guaranteed as well, is a really strong contract for him. Let's see who we have here next. I think it was kind of a quiet class. I don't recall seeing many huge signings that I was, shocked by. Anthony Volpe goes to Texas, 4 years, $25 million, pretty modest deal there. Xavier Isaac goes to Philly, 7 years, $26 million per. I think that's probably a great signing for them. I think he'll be awesome. We just we're sort of clogged. Our lineup is so crowded, we couldn't fit him in. Dylan Cruz goes to the Yankees as well, $165 million for him. The other Japanese pitcher, Yoshida, goes to San Francisco. The guy who was throwing mid-80s on the gun. Gets a 5-year deal, so close to $30 million for him. Nick Kurtz, $34.8 million over 4 years to go to the Twins. Royce Lewis goes to Colorado, although he is not the superstar he is in real life. Kodai Senga, 1-year deal to go to Texas. He's wrecked physically, didn't want to buy in on that for us. Simeon Woods Richardson, 4 years, $41.2 for just the 50 grade player, but he cashes in after a strong 3 years in Miami. Nick Lodolo, very modest deal to go to Colorado, along with a couple of other guys here. Tyler Holton, our boy, at 35 years old, goes to Boston on a 1-year deal. So, those are the moves, I would say, one of the quieter classes we've seen so far in free agency. But, let's get to DevLab results. I have not seen, ever since the midseason check-in, I have not looked, so this will be a surprise to me as well. Of course, we're hoping to see no immediate injuries in this first preseason game, but you kind of never know. So let's get into it here. I'm going to hit advance, and we will kind of see how we roll here, hoping for some good results for all of our prospects. So I guess let's just do it without further ado. And I'm looking for poor. We get no poor results, so that's awesome. And we get an outstanding result with Dan Beebe. Wow. So he's just, he was bordering on fragile. So my suspicion was, I guess, correct in that sense. So he bulks up, and now he's just somewhat normal with his injury proneness. So, love to see that. Looks like he got a boost in his stuff. His velo ticked up as well, so we kind of suspected that. It's 100 plus to 100 plus, but obviously awesome to see. I think that was the best of it, outcome we could hope for. So, super awesome. Wyatt Sanford, no noticeable changes for him, so our Fragile King remains fragile. Gabe Ariano gets a successful contact program. His BABIP increases by 5. I believe that is, it's not necessarily reflected there, but hopefully that comes along. Expecting big things out of Gabe this year in his true rookie season. Outstanding for Ben Small. 15-point power jump for Ben Small. Let's go. He has to start now, I think. Just my initial impression is that he needs to start. It's kind of unreflected here, I think, just showing as a 55, but you got to think it's bordering on 60 at this point. The 22-year-old number 12 prospect in baseball. We have to figure out a way to start him, probably in left field, kind of to be determined, and then maybe Kettleson gets bumped to backup outfielder again. Phil Goodall gets sent down, so probably something like that. A 15-point jump is outrageous, just super, super awesome. Tony Granger remains fragile, kind of unfortunate. Don't know if he made any improvements this offseason. His stuff dropped, but that was back in September. Hoping that improvements in our coaching staff can kind of help him recapture what makes him great. But outstanding for Alexis Braina as well. So only a +5 in his potential BABIP. His current BABIP improves by less than 5. He's going to actually start the season at Florida Complex League. I just think he is pretty ready for that. If we go to his ratings here, he's kind of 50 grade across the board. He's 18 years old, so I think this is a safe bet for him to produce. He was successful in the DSL last season. We'll kind of see how he runs out here at rookie ball, depending on what he's looking like. Maybe he finishes the year at A ball. So love to see his improvement there. No improvement for Javi Ruiz, which is honestly kind of a blessing, because at the mid-season or mid-off-season check-in, he was struggling with his bat speed. I was worried we would get some regression there, but fortunately we are spared. There are no noticeable changes. He's actually going to go up to A-ball to start the year. So he spent 2 years in the DSL. Felt like he had jumped over Florida Rookie League because at the A-ball level, he's capable. I think he'll be close to 20 years old by the time the season starts. He's definitely going to walk a lot. I think he'll hit the occasional homer. And it's an aggressive promotion, but I would like him to just play a full season and get as much exposure as possible. And I'm optimistic he can do well. So I see another outstanding result here for Kung Fu Panda, Jerry Blashill. So potential power rating improves by 15 and current power rating improves by 5. He already had, I think, 70 grade power at one point. So, we do see the current power reflected here. Potential power increases. It's said in that email by 15, but here it's only 5. His eye and gap rating both fall. So, he's going to start again at rookie ball, I think, just to make sure he's ready. I don't want to be too aggressive. He's still not even 20. So I think he does the rookie ball season and then gets bumped to A-ball after, assuming, health and all of that. But love that result. 15 points of power would actually, if it was 70 before, it would put him at 85, right? So that would be off the scale power for the left-handed outfield bat, Kung Fu Panda. So maybe that shows up in our evaluation of him. I don't know. 15 is crazy to see in the potential. Majkowski gets no improvement in his movement. He's going to start the year at high A. I think he's well-equipped. He got 7 starts, 8 total games of action at A-ball last year, was pretty lights out, tremendous. His ratings relative to high A show that he should be, very capable. The control is there, the movement is there, the stuff is borderline. I think he can get away with that being just in the 40s. So excited to see what he can do. 22, about to be 23 years old. Maybe he finishes the year at Double A. And then we get a successful power program for Jacoby Rodriguez. His current power improves by 10. Holy cow. We got really good rolls on these. So Jacoby is looking strong here. You know, we only see, I think, a 5-point jump here from 45 to 50, but maybe he's at like a 52 or something like that on the 50 to 55 scale. He's not fully rolled into the 55, but, you know, we're going to try to improve his defense here. He's a lefty masher now, and hoping to actually train up the catching skills and make him more of a full-time major leaguer down the line. But at 21 years old, he's going to be at AAA this season. Has never played there, only played at AA and High A last year. So this is the toughest competition level he will have faced so far, but we'll kind of, you know, monitor him and see how he can do. Maybe he's our Axel Plaz replacement down the line. But this was awesome. Like, I mean, Dan Beebe getting the outstanding role, ticking up his velo and hopefully preserving his health, along with Ben Small improving his current power rating by 15 is crazy. So I think they're both going to try, like, be major factors for us in this upcoming season. We're just going to have to push, like I mentioned, Brock Kettleson to the bench. So I'll try to rework all of that on my own here as we progress through spring. And then, you know, a lot of other good programs as well. So I think this was overall a very successful offseason, even though we didn't add any major free agents to our roster at all, really. Like, we're pretty much just running it back with the exact same team as we had last season. So, you know, let me know what you think of this. This is where we're going to end the video. If you have thoughts about the team this upcoming season, who are you looking forward to seeing perform, let me know. In next episode, we'll look to do the entirety of the first half. We'll go all the way up to the midseason mark, and it should be pretty awesome. We may even like go all the way to the draft, you guys. Like I mentioned, I'm going to try to speed through these years a little faster. We may just handle all of that and then leave off at the first year player draft if we can. So should be a good one. As always, if you've made it this far, would appreciate a like on the video. It really does help grow the channel. But, you know, take it easy, guys. I'll be back with a new video for you soon where we will start the 2032 season together. So take care.